You can't miss this, Giada, Miles pleads, leaning closer to the screen. It would ruin everything if my sister wasn't there. That's not my intention. Dad's voice interrupts, firm and final. You've always been the difficult one. Always trying to be different instead of part of this family. Different. Difficult. The old labels, sharp as ever. If you skip this, Mom says softly, the threat wrapped in sweetness, you'll damage your relationship with Miles forever. Is that what you want? The message is clear. Conform or be cut off. Play your part or lose your place. Think about what this means, Lydia adds. The whole family will be there. What will everyone think if you're the only one missing? I picture the whispers, the rumors. What happened to Giada? And I know exactly what story they'll tell without me to defend it. We're just trying to help you, Carter says. Can't you see that? The call ends 30 minutes later. I sit in silence, tears slipping down freely as the weight of their expectations presses heavy on my chest. The choice before me is impossible. Protect my dignity or protect my family ties. Neither feels like peace. Then my laptop chimes again, a new email. A client from last quarter. A small publishing house I'd helped rebrand when they were near collapse. Giada, we just closed our best quarter in 5 years. The board credited you as the quiet force behind our success. Thought you should know. I stare at the screen, warmth blooming quietly in my chest. Someone finally sees the value in what I do. Someone finally sees what I've created. As I sit there reading the email, the question circles in my head. Should I go to the engagement party and keep the peace? Or is it time to show my family what I've built on my own terms? Silence can be powerful. But would skipping my brother's celebration make a statement or look like defeat? They want me there as the version of me they've shaped, not the woman I've become. The ivory envelope sits on my counter, quietly demanding a decision. The longer I stare at it, the clearer it becomes. The question isn't whether I'll attend Miles's engagement. It's whether I'll keep showing up for the performance of family at the cost of my truth. For days later, I woke to the relentless ping of notifications. 3 alerts, all from Dad's Facebook. The newest post shows everyone circled around a bonfire at Uncle Phil's lake house. Smiles, raised wine glasses, perfect lighting. The caption reads, "Family always shows up for one another, no matter what." 27 likes, 14 comments, variations of beautiful family. I set my phone face down, breathing through the familiar tightness in my chest. Mom calls while I'm reviewing client analytics. I almost let it ring out, but at the last second, I swipe to answer. Miles is so disappointed you haven't RSVP'd yet, she says, skipping hello. He asked me to check if you're coming. I haven't decided, I reply, trying to sound steadier than I feel. What's there to decide? It's your brother's engagement party. I can hear running water, dishes clinking. She never calls without multitasking. I've got a client meeting that weekend. I glance at my watch. 6:17 a.m. I've been here since 4, slowly turning this empty room into something alive. I nudge the solid walnut desk into its place, my fingertips following the sleek lines of its surface. Every item in this space was chosen with purpose. The custom ergonomic chairs wrapped in muted charcoal fabric, the glass partitions that separate work zones yet leave the air open and light, the minimalist signage bearing my company's name in a clean, confident typeface. Perfect alignment, I murmur, stepping back to check the angle of the desk against the windows. The morning light will fall across it just right during client meetings, professional but not overbearing. The next hour passes in quiet precision as I lay out client portfolios across the main table. Each leather-bound folder holds proof. Stories of businesses reborn, strategies carried out, success captured in numbers. My hand pauses on the Peterson outdoor gear case study, my first big client after leaving the corporate world. The one my father dismissed as a small-time gig not worth the effort. When I place the final folder, I step to the center of the room. The space feels alive, sleek, calm, full of promise. For the first time since I walked out of my mother's birthday dinner, I feel something close to peace. So, this is why you're missing Miles's party. For work. Lydia's voice breaks the silence. She stands in the doorway, expression balanced between irritation and reluctant awe. I never invited family, But here she is, tailored blazer, flawless makeup, unannounced and uninvited. The launch has been on the calendar for months, I say evenly, watching her eyes roam over the space, mentally calculating its value. Miles is crushed, you know. An engagement only happens once. Her tone carries that familiar practice, guilt I grew up hearing. But this time, it lands differently. We're on my ground now, not our parents' dining room. Before I can answer, Jake Peterson steps over from the refreshment table, champagne in hand. Giada, I was just telling the Chronicle reporter how your rebrand boosted our Q2 sales by 38%. He nods toward a woman scribbling near the window. This genius saved our family company after 3 decades of decline. 2 more clients join in, adding their praise. She rebuilt our entire online presence. The quiet powerhouse behind our comeback. Portland's best-kept secret. Lydia's face changes ever so slightly. Her mouth opens, then shuts again. For the first time in our adult lives, I watch her see me, really see me. I had no idea, she says softly, already lifting her phone to snap pictures. Does Mom know what you've done here? When she starts sending photos to our family group chat, I hesitate. Should I stop her? Or let those images speak louder than I ever could? The event gains energy around me. Clients mingle with local entrepreneurs, sharing stories of change. The Chronicle reporter jots quick notes, pausing to ask questions about what she calls the quiet builder of Portland's success. I hope you don't mind the ambush, says Rebecca, suddenly beside me with a small crowd of neighbors in tow. We wanted to surprise you. Of course she did. She's brought half the building, the retired teacher from 4B, the newlyweds from across the hall, even grumpy Mr. Wilson from downstairs. They filled the polished office with a warmth I never found at family gatherings. I'm really glad you came, I tell her, and mean it more than she knows. The afternoon drifts by like a dream. Champagne glasses clink. Business cards change hands. Conversations hum around me as I stand at the heart of what I've built. This isn't just a launch, it's a declaration. A new beginning entirely my own. Later, I spot Lydia in a corner, texting furiously. Moments later, my phone buzzes. The family group chat lights up with her message beneath photos of my studio. Giada went all out but didn't invite us. Replies rolling fast. Dad, choosing work over family. A day later, my phone vibrates with the 7th message in less than an hour. I flip it over on my desk, refusing to let the constant ping of family texts pull my attention from organizing client files. The launch event had gone far better than I'd imagined. Yet somehow, missing Miles's engagement party had turned into a full-blown family drama. By lunchtime, when I finally check my phone, the messages are exactly what I expected. Guilt dressed up as concern. Martin, you hosted an event last night. Would have been nice to include family. I exhale through my nose, recognizing the passive-aggressive tone instantly. My father knows why I didn't invite them. The same reason he didn't invite me to his retirement celebrations after I left the corporate world. Then comes Mom's voicemail, her voice trembling between hurt and accusation. Miles was disappointed you chose work over family. We raised you better than this, Giada. The next wave of messages is from my siblings, nearly identical in wording, proof that they'd coordinated their responses. Carter, you should apologize to Miles. He's really upset. Lydia, an apology would mean a lot right now. Miles, I expected more from you. A simple apology would fix this. The final message lands just before I shut down my office for the night. My father's ultimatum, disguised as concern. Your ongoing disrespect leaves us no choice but to exclude you from future gatherings until you show proper remorse. Families don't treat each other this way. Without replying, I place the phone in my desk drawer and drive home with the windows rolled down, letting the night air clear my thoughts. The next morning, sunlight pours through my apartment windows as I sip coffee and scroll through the local news on my tablet. A headline stops me cold. Portland's quiet powerhouse, how Giada Moretti is transforming local businesses. The feature includes photos from the launch, client quotes, and an in-depth profile of my consulting approach. Within minutes, my phone lights up again, this time with opportunity. New client inquiries, 3 consultation requests, 2 partnership offers, and an invitation to speak at an upcoming business leadership forum. Walking into my studio feels different today. My heels strike the hardwood with purpose, and the scent of fresh paint mingles with coffee. My first client arrives with a colleague curious about our work, and I guide them through the presentation with a steady voice and confident ease. During a short break, I open the family group chat. Instead of sending the apology they're expecting, I paste the article's link, nothing else, then mute notifications and return to my clients. The silence that once served as my shield has become something new, a boundary, a declaration, a deliberate choice. 2 months later, I stand backstage at the Portland Business Leadership Forum, reviewing notes for my panel. The topic, building success without traditional support systems. My segment focuses on creating professional momentum when family validation isn't an option, a subject I know too well. As I step onto the stage and scan the audience, I freeze for a moment. 6 rows back sits my father, posture rigid, expression unreadable. Our eyes meet briefly before I look away, my heartbeat loud in my ears. I have no idea how he found out about this event. The moderator introduces me, and instinct takes over. I speak clearly about strategy, client trust, and the importance of building community connections when family resources aren't there. The questions flow easily, and I find myself relaxing, even with him in the room. I neither acknowledge nor avoid him, I simply continue. When asked about overcoming personal barriers, I lean forward slightly. Aunt Carol calls to say I've broken your father's heart. Uncle Phil, surprisingly, sends an email saying he always knew I had it in me. The family fractures in unexpected ways. Some accuse me of disrespect, while others quietly praise my independence. When I return from the studio Friday evening, a cream-colored envelope waits in my mailbox. Inside lies an invitation to Thanksgiving at my parents' house, still 3 months away. What makes me pause is the handwritten note in my mother's graceful script along the edge, "We miss you." I set the invitation on the kitchen counter and stare at it for a long moment, wondering what kind of peace it offers and what it might cost. Sunlight streams through the tall windows of my expanded studio, spilling across the walnut conference table where my team gathers. Just 3 months ago, this place was half the size. Now, with the neighboring suite merged in, Patterson and Moretti Brand Consulting occupies the entire corner of the Portland Arts District building. The Westbrook campaign surpassed their quarterly goals by 23%, I say, clicking to the next slide. Their social engagement has doubled since our strategy went live. Heads nod around the table, 5 consultants, all reporting to me. Sometimes, I still can't quite believe it. Giada Bloomberg Business just published that feature on women-led consultancies in the Pacific Northwest, Kendra says, sliding her tablet toward me. You're listed as Portland's quiet powerhouse. I smile, remembering how I used to practice comebacks to my family's sharper marks in the mirror. Now my name appears in business magazines, and local entrepreneurs seek me out at networking events. The revenue reports show a 40% jump from last quarter, Kendra adds. Numbers don't lie, unlike family pleasantries. Let's call it a day, I say, standing. Excellent work, everyone. As they leave, I notice the calm in my shoulders, a calm I never had at family gatherings. The old tension, the constant need to defend or justify myself, is finally gone. That evening, laughter fills my dining room. 8 people gather around my table, colleagues, neighbors, and small business owners who've become friends. Rebecca sets down a steaming dish of paella in the center. To the woman who convinced me to go digital, Daniel toasts, my shop would still be floundering without you. The pajama strategist strikes again. Amy jokes, my new business partner. Unlike my father's barbs, her teasing carries real affection. Instead of shrinking, I laugh and lift my glass. Just wait till you see what I can do in actual clothes. The room bursts into laughter. Looking around at these faces, people who respect my ideas, who value my voice, I realize I found something my family never gave me. Recognition without strings attached. Remember when you were too nervous to tell people what you did for work? Rebecca whispers as she helps clear plates. I nod, recalling the times I mumbled vague explanations, conditioned by years of dismissal to expect the same from everyone. The next weekend, a few close friends gather in my backyard. Rebecca brings her signature lemon bars. The same small crew who once painted walls and built desks for my first studio now relax in Adirondack chairs on the lawn. I raise my glass to creating our own definitions of success and family. Their smiles mirror the truth I've finally learned. Family isn't defined by blood, but by those who celebrate your truest self. The next morning, another Thanksgiving invitation sits on my desk. My mother's handwriting on the envelope still stirs a faint anxiety, but it no longer rules me. The fear of their judgment has faded with every milestone they can't belittle. I've decided to go, but on my own terms. I'll bring my portfolio not to prove anything, but simply as fact. This is who I am. This is what I've built. The lightness I feel is new but welcome. I've built a life that doesn't require me to shrink just to fit inside my family's narrow idea of success. I no longer need their approval to feel whole. I place the invitation beside my computer and turn toward the soft knock at my door. Your 10 o'clock is here, my assistant says. The CEO from Meridian Technologies. I stand smoothing my dress, a gesture that once signaled nerves, but now means readiness. As I prepare to face my family again, one question lingers. Is it better to keep relationships with those who belittle you, by setting boundaries, or to build an entirely new circle that celebrates who you truly are? The hardest part wasn't walking away that first night. It was deciding if and how to walk back. I sit quietly at my mother's birthday dinner, surrounded by the soft hum of family laughter and clinking silverware. 25 pairs of eyes follow her as she unwraps presents, her grin growing with each crinkle of bright tissue paper. Dad lifts his glass, effortlessly commanding attention, just as he's done at every gathering for as long as I can remember. To Elaine, he declares, his voice booming down the length of the table, 65 years young and still tolerating the rest of us. Laughter ripples through the room. I join in, raising my glass of water in the same well-practiced motion I always do. This moment of warmth and routine, this is supposed to be home. Family, belonging, even when I can't quite feel it. Then Dad's eyes land on me, that familiar spark lighting up. It's the same look he gets before he turns someone into the punchline of his good-natured jokes. And to Giada, he continues, tilting his wine glass in my direction, still fighting the good fight with that, what do you call it again? Oh, right, the pajama laptop job. Changing the world from your couch. Huh. My fingers tighten around the glass. The smile I wear stays frozen as laughter breaks around the table. Aunt Carol snorts into her napkin. Uncle Phil shakes his head, that same patronizing chuckle he reserves for any mention of his daughter's art degree. Carter, my brother, meets my eyes for a moment before looking away, his smile uneasy but intact. Something shifts inside me, deep and irreversible, like a fault line finally giving way after years of quiet pressure. For the first time, I see it clearly, what I've been refusing to acknowledge for years. They will never respect me. They will never see what I've built as real or worthy. The approval I've spent 33 years chasing will never come. The realization doesn't sting or shatter. It just settles, cool and clear, like water washing over glass. Without a word, I place my napkin beside my plate and stand, smoothing the fabric of my dress. Happy birthday, Mom, I say softly. Then I walk away, from the laughter, from the stunned silence that follows me out. 18 months earlier, I'd sat across from Dad in his study, explaining why I was leaving my corporate media job. I need something more meaningful, I'd told him, outlining my plan to start a brand strategy consultancy. Sounds like an early midlife crisis, he'd muttered without looking up from his newspaper. Bit soon for that, isn't it? It was always the same at family gatherings. Carter's promotions at his law firm toasted with champagne. Lydia's work in hospital administration praised as making a difference. Miles's finance career celebrated as building something solid. And me, my work was always a punchline, always minimized. How's that little side business going? They'd ask, as if I were selling jam at a farmer's market instead of rebuilding failing brands. Still, I kept showing up, kept smiling, kept trying to earn my seat at the table through quiet persistence and meaningful work they refused to see. The text messages begin before I even reach my car. Carter, Dad was joking. Don't be so sensitive. Lydia, night.